All right, welcome back. We got another video about ICE. I want to talk primarily about the press conference that JD Vance gave yesterday, and then another clip from Randy Fine, in particular. You know, the great and glorious Randy Fine from Florida. So I want to get right into the first clip here. These are just a bunch of different stuff. I don't want to put on the whole press conference because we'll have like an hour-long video, and I don't really want to edit all that. All right, so let's go ahead and put on the first thing real quick.
What we're going to do is make it easier for the American People's Administration to enforce the American People's law. And that means that Democrats have to stop rallying the mob against legitimate law enforcement operations. And that means that we are going to get tougher. And that's what this AAG position is about. We're going to get tougher at the people who are defrauding the United States by inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's one of the things that we're going to do. We've already started that work at the Department of Justice, but we're going to keep on doing it, and this new AAG position is going to kick that into high gear.
So Pam Bondi sucks ass at her job apparently because they got to get an assistant attorney general. So not only are they going to just generally be sending ICE door to door, which they continued to say yesterday that they'll be sending ICE door to door. So knocking on doors with my guns. Hey, are you an immigrant? Let me see your papers. They already have a track record of denying legitimate documents and legitimate proof of citizenship or legal residence or any other kind of document. They'll just say whatever they want because, you know, JD Vance already said they have immunity. So they're going to do whatever they want and make up whatever they want, right? But also they've talked about how they're going to be going after the people who are inciting the violence, inciting the riots. No Democrat is inciting violence or riots. Democrats don't believe in violence. They don't believe in riots. They barely believe in protests. They believe in sanction-ordered, non-disruptive, totally regimented, scheduled, and timed with the local government and local populace kind of protests. So not even really like a protest, more just like a big get-together in town. So I don't know what Democrats he's referring to. I really don't know what Democrats he's referring to. But they're going to go after Democrats now because they need to silence the opposition. Democrats are not an opposition party. They are capitulatory in every facet, but at least nominally, right? They're the opposition party, so they need to suppress the opposition party. And I think there's a bigger ploy. So inevitably, when we get into it, right? But I think there's a larger conspiracy here. But they're going to arrest Democrats. They're going to get in the way of Democrats, and they're going to make it harder for Democrats to opposition, even though they won't opposition to begin with. So I want to continue going through these clips, continue talking about what JD Vance was talking about. So I got another clip here.
You just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Well, it's one of the things we're going to have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent, or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick? And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident in Minneapolis, you see friends of this woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there? How did she learn about this? There's an entire network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it, that is trying to incite violence against our law enforcement officers. It's ridiculous, it's preposterous, and part of our investigatory work is getting to the bottom of it. Who's funding it? Who's supporting it? Who's cheerleading it? And of course, if there's a legal activity related to that, we're going to get to the bottom of that and prosecute it where we can.
So, as a leftist myself, I'm really unaware of what organization he's referring to, because it's not the Democrats. Any like socialist or communist organization, they all fight each other constantly. They're always too busy arguing with each other. So it's certainly not them uniting and organizing Americans. I'm pretty sure everybody who knew this lady and who was on the ground said that she was just leaving. You know what I mean? Just trying to leave her neighborhood. The ICE was boxing in where she lived, so she was trying to leave her neighborhood. But let's just bullshit our way. Let's just lie our way through more things. But yeah, this notion that there's some larger organized left-wing movement. No, there is not. There is no organized left-wing movement in this nation. Not at all. As much as I would love for that. Even something like a Black Panther Party would be fantastic right now, you know, against opposing this administration and the Democrats at large, but everybody. Opposing everybody. I would love that. But that does not exist. At all. At all. You could look for 4 minutes and you'll realize, oh, there's nothing. There's nothing happening. I mean, there's small things here and there, right? There's some small organized protests and different things nationally, but not this large conspiracy where the media's into it. Are we dumb? What are we talking about? I don't know. I mean, so many people are buying into this narrative. Even some liberals are buying into this narrative and accepting it as fact and then trying to refute. This is false. There's no trying to accept it and then be like, oh, but it doesn't matter if she was a part of an organization. There is no organization, okay?
How does being part of that network justify being shot?
Well, being part of the network doesn't justify being shot, but ramming an ICE officer with your car, that's what justifies being shot. It's not a good thing, by the way, but when you force somebody to engage in self-defense, it's almost a preposterous question. I'm not saying that funding some of this stuff justifies capital punishment. Nobody would suggest that. The reason this woman is dead is because she tried to ram somebody with her car and that guy acted in self-defense. That is why she lost her life, and that is the tragedy. Now, there may be other violations of the law and other penalties that are associated with those violations of the law. For example, if you are funding violence against our law enforcement officers, I'm not a prosecutor. My guess is that's not the sort of thing that earns capital punishment, but it should sure as hell earn you a few years in prison if you're funding the effort to try to assault our law enforcement officers. What is, I'm sorry guys, what's going on here? You guys are meant to report the truth. How have you let yourself become agents of propaganda of a radical fringe that's making it harder for us to enforce our laws? You just asked me a question that presumed that the reason why this woman died is because she was engaged in legitimate protest. She tried to run somebody over with her car, and the guy defended himself when that happened. Next question.
So angry. Next question. So angry. Yeah, this is from JD Vance's tweet. A lot of dishonest coverage. No, there's a lot of, I mean, yeah, actually, I would say there's dishonest coverage, as in there's people not being firm enough that this was murder, that she was killed, right? I don't know. It's hard to have a comment. It's really hard to make more comments other than what I just keep regurgitating the same thing over and over and over. I mean, basically, the movement at this point is they want us to just be complicit, to just be quiet. And that's what he's trying to get across, is he just wants us to be quiet. He wants the media, he wants the press pool, definitely in the White House, right, to just be complicit and just play along and just let us do what we want, right? I mean, more clips, right? I mean, I'm gonna keep going. I got more clips.
On duty, or has he been placed on leave, on administrative leave? And what really was the target of the operation on Wednesday, of the ICE operation on Wednesday?
Well, first of all, it was a legitimate law enforcement operation. We were going door to door to try to find criminal illegal aliens and deport them from the United States of America, because if you come to our country illegally in violation of our immigration laws, then we have the mandate, and in fact, we have the legal duty to enforce those immigration laws. Whether he's been placed on administrative leave, I don't know the answer to that question. I'd refer it to the Department of Homeland Security, and they can follow up. I will say, look, I would appreciate everybody saying a prayer for that agent. Look, in the past 6 months, he has been hit twice by a motor vehicle. One time, the first time, it led to over 30 stitches and very serious injuries to his legs. This is a guy who's actually done a very, very
My trauma means that I can kill people, by the way. That's what he's saying. My trauma means I can shoot someone.
important job for the United States of America. He's been assaulted, he's been attacked, he's been injured because of it. He deserves a debt of gratitude, and I think the media prejudging and talking about this guy as if he's a murderer is one of the most disgraceful things I've ever seen from the American media.
My trauma means I can shoot people. That's a pretty funny response, honestly. It's a very liberal fascism kind of response of like, they can't even just do the evil thing and be like, yeah, we fucking shot the lady. She was trying to run us over. No, he's got to go like, boo-hoo my feelings. My little feelings were hurt because I jumped in front of another car previously, and then I did it again, and then I'm traumatized, so I'm going to kill a lady. It's this weird, like, they have to still do this very, like, liberal performance and justification act, right? To, like, justify their fascism instead of just doing the fascism. I mean, like, Hitler would never do this. You know, the night of broken glass, he would never get up here and be like, listen, guys, some of our people, you know, previously had, you know, been called names by some of the Jews in town. And unfortunately, sometimes when they see them, they retaliate. And it's hard for us to, you know, control that all the time. Hitler would never do that. He never didn't. He didn't do it. None of them did, right? So it's just weird. It's like they're fascists, but it's also they have to do this, like, performance, right? It's so odd. They can't even just be like fascists. They can't even just be evil. They still have to pretend. It's such a strange thing to see all the time. It's so odd. Lastly, I do want to touch on this that JD Vance is not the only person trying to defend this. We saw, obviously, yesterday, Trump put out a tweet Trump did not watch the video. There's no way he watched the video. He was just told by Stephen Miller and JD Vance probably like, hey, just put a tweet out. This one looks bad. Put it out, please. And he was like, all right, our agent's almost dead as the video. He's walking around, right? Kristi Noem, obviously immediately jumping to the defense of the agent. Nuts. But Randy Fine makes a comment, right? The most pro-Israel person in the federal government has this to say.
These ICE agents, the left believes they can do anything they want, and we're just supposed to sit down and take it. It's time for Americans to say enough, and if you get in the way of the government repelling a foreign invasion, you're going to end up just like that lady did yesterday.
So the most pro-Israel representative in our government also thinks that if you get in the way, right, if you leave your neighborhood with ICE agents present, you should be killed. I wonder if there's any correlation between his support for Israel and all that he believes with that, and then his comments he just made now about if you leave your neighborhood and ICE is just in the neighborhood, they have the right to shoot you. I'm sure there's no correlation between those beliefs at all. I'm almost positive there's no way there's any correlation there. So the last clip, right, that I think that finally establishes kind of the point I'm trying to make with this entire video. So I want to watch this real quick.
Investigations agency says that the U.S. Attorney's Office has essentially cut off the state investigations agency's access to the investigation. What is the precedent for that, and why shouldn't the Minnesota officials on the ground have access and evidence to work on this investigation?
First of all, I wish the state officials in Minnesota would investigate why you have so many people who are using their vehicles and other means to actually interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation. The precedent here is very simple. You have a federal law enforcement official engaging in federal law enforcement action. That's a federal issue. That guy is protected by absolute immunity. He was doing his job. The idea that Tim Walz and a bunch of radicals in Minneapolis are going to go after and make this guy's life miserable because he was doing the job that he was asked to do is preposterous.
So the bigger thing here is that the FBI has completely boxed out the state AG. They're not giving the state AG any information, anything to any evidence, anything like that, any facts to prosecute. So the state AG has got nothing. I mean, they have the clip, right? But they don't have any of the evidence, any of the facts of the case to prosecute. Meaning, if the state can't prosecute, only the FBI can, because it's involving a federal agent. So they're going to get involved with this, and they're going to be part of the main prosecutory body, right? And if it's a federal crime, guess who can pardon? The president of the United States. And Donald Trump will absolutely sign that pardon, or Stephen Miller will auto-pen that pardon, or JD Vance will auto-pen that pardon, or whatever. So undeniably, he's not immune. Federal agents could be charged with crimes, okay? They have qualified immunity, but not, which is also so dumb. I don't even know why we have that, but they don't have absolute immunity. But in effect, they probably do have, absolute immunity. The president will just pardon this guy. I don't see a world where he just wouldn't, even if he gets charged and prosecuted and is indicted and then goes to prison. That's if the whole thing actually goes through all the way and happens completely. Trump will just pardon the guy. So in a practical sense, if the FBI can beat a state AG, box the state AG out, and then only the FBI is charging him, and then the FBI will do the thing of, well, technically we charged the guy, Trump will just pardon him. So in a practical sense, they're totally immune. So now Trump, they got this mapped out now, right? So Trump's personal brown shirt paramilitary, ICE, goes around terrorizing and killing people in this country, kidnapping people in this country and disappearing them. And then when they do inevitably kill people, the FBI comes in, box out the state AG, so only the federal government can prosecute. And then when it's only the federal government prosecuting, Trump can pardon the person who's being prosecuted. Okay? That's all this is. This is the whole plan. They've now, it's seemingly, with how they're behaving with this one, they're really cementing. I mean, we knew ICE was deranged and could do whatever they wanted, wouldn't face any repercussions. We knew this, but now we're getting it from all of their mouths. Now we're like confirming that the people in charge definitely do believe this. It was no longer just like, oh, we're assuming so based on a lack of comment. We have them affirming that they can do whatever they want. So now ICE is just Trump's private military to do whatever he wants in this nation. And I think, to tease a further point I'll make in a separate video, I think we're going to see Jan 6 too. But instead of just randos in the crowd Trump has taken, well, there were like a bunch of like militia groups in the crowd, but he's taken those militia groups, made them federal agents. And now that they're federal agents, they're going to show up in defense of Trump as a branch of the military, or not the military, a branch of the federal government. And that is who will be doing the Jan 6. Now, I don't know if they'll be like storming the Capitol, but they'll definitely be protecting Trump. This is to assume that if they lose the midterms, which I think Republicans will definitely lose the midterms at this point. I don't see how they would win the midterms. If the Democrats miraculously grow a spine and try to remove him from office, not just impeach him, but try to remove him from office, I don't think Trump's leaving. I think he's going to say, I dare you, I have a private military, I dare you to do something about it. What are you going to do? And they're going to do nothing. But I just wanted to talk about how the vice president has confirmed and affirmed the fact that ICE can do whatever they want. We already knew they could, but now they've affirmed it. And I feel like we needed to talk about that and what really might be going to be going down in the future. So if you like what we do here, you like what I have to say, then I'd appreciate a like and a comment. And I suppose if you hated everything I had to say, but you still made it to the end, I guess you could dislike if you wanted. Follow all the socials. I'm on Twitter, lighting up everybody up all the time. I'm on some TikToks, making some posts over there. Go to our Discord. We've trying to get some community going. We only got a few people there, so I'm trying to get a good core of people together, right? We can, discuss things. You guys have video ideas. It's easy to contact me there and say, hey, I saw this thing, post a news thing. Hey, I saw this. Hey, I heard about this. Hey, what's this about? And put it in there. And video a topic for me to make about, and I'm happy to make them. We have a Patreon and a YouTube membership. Either one, doesn't matter. We got some cool things, some cool teas in there. If you just want to be a supporter and you just like what we got going on, I'd deeply appreciate it. I'd be deeply humbled. We got some cool content ideas that we're going to be adding into the Patreon when we get some people joining. So I would hope that everybody at least checks it out. Become a free member, right? Just say that you did. Just so I can see that you're there. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so I'm gonna be following all this, continue, and we'll see you in the next video.